Good morning. Welcome to the Hole in the Wall, my toy workshop. I've been told my first toy making was when I was 10 years old. And then I grew up and I started my second childhood, which I think is better than my first. I'm still making toys and showing children what it was like during the Depression when we didn't have anything of our own. And the first toy I'd like to show you is the fort, which was the Fort of Ballston. And the Reverend Ball had a church inside, plus a blacksmith shop. There were 13 soldiers from Albany that manned the stockade, and when trouble come, people rushed to the stockade and they lived in the upper part of the building. Their beds were there. And that was way when Ballston was Ballstown, not Ballston. And there we are, educational toy. The kids don't realize they're getting educated on history. You're going to have to give me a chance here to get it started. This is the Caterross Electric Railroad to run up the Caterross Creek. When I was a young lad, they called it PP&J, push, pull, and jerk. And it went up the Caterross Creek, and it towed freight cars behind it from the D&H Railroad. And it was an electric trolley that hauled the cars from Ballston to Middle Grove. And there were 16 mills on the Caterross Creek, and it hauled freight cars to the mills along the way. Starting from Ballston, by the firehouse, the electric trolley started down Bass Street, and it went past the village hall, then down the hill past the American Hide and Leather Tannery, then up the street it went a little farther, and it stopped at Bischoff's factory. Then it went up a little farther to the pulp mill, hauling cars to them. Then it went to the Ballston Axe Works, known as Blood's Axe Factory, and then to Blood Size Factory in Bloodville, the National Paper Mill, then the Pioneer Paper Mill, and the Eagle Paper Mill, which was in Rock City Falls, the Rock City Falls Paper Mill, which is the only paper mill on the Caterross still running today. Then the Excelsior Mill that was in Rock City Falls, and then a little farther up, the Empire Paper Mill.
Hotel?
Oh, Middle Grove Hotel is almost to the end of the line, but there were 2 more paper mills a hair farther up. And there we are, at the end of the line. And on the way back, we used to pick up school children on the way, and if you were on the end of the line, it cost 25 cents to come to Ballston. Slowly we went back down the hill here, and we come to Ballston, but we used to go up Bass Street Hill, but today we don't anymore because it costs too much. And on the Caterross Creek, Mr. Blood taught his son how to make scythe blades. The anvil and the tools were taken from the British at the Battle of Saratoga. They were picked up at Schuylerville and carried on a pole, an anvil and 2 or 3 hammers and a couple of tongs to the town of Ballston. And then his son learned how to make scythes from his father, but he wanted to have water power, so he moved up on the Caterross Creek and he built a factory, and this is the first part of this factory. The water wheel turns, runs the trip hammer and the bellows strike, and he's heating iron, and he's slowly making axes on the trip hammer, and there's some of the axes he made. And that was Mr. Blood's axe factory on the Ross Creek.
That is so neat.
Well, see, the kids like it, but they remember that there was factories on the Ross Creek.
That is fantastic.
Being a toy maker, I am working on an idea of the Adirondack lumberjack. He isn't quite completed yet, but I've been working on him. And when he's in position and things work right, he should be sawing wood. I hope.
My husband would appreciate this.
Because sometimes things don't work out the way I see them in my mind. But I enjoy experiment. And you'll be surprised how many toys never got finished because I couldn't find the answer. There he is, playing his piano in the local tavern known as the Medbury Hotel. When I was going to school, we used to have tablets, and we loved to play tit-tat-toe. But things were tough during the Depression, and my mother says, "You're wasting too much paper, you this and that." So my father got an idea, and he built us a board, and I made one like his, made out of wood, and the tit-tat-toe, who's right and who is wrong, there you are. But we didn't waste any more tablet paper.
That's still a great idea.
Yeah, well, the old man gets foolish in his old age. And for a joke, I'm always thinking a joke, and I can't find the other one, the quarter pounder, but I found a tax shelter. So it's getting near tax time, and there we are, a genuine tax shelter.
I'll use one of those.
Next we have the little book, children love this one, known as the climber. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, up he goes, up he goes. And he comes down a lot faster. This is known as a whirligig, and the man sawing wood. He better be, yeah. Yeah, he is. Grandma in her kitchen, getting ready to make cookies, and she's rolling out the dough.
That is so cool.
Maybe if I spin it the right way, it should work better. The man that loves to jump across the back and forth, just give him a little squeeze and he'll jump farther than you please.
He was always one of my favorites too.
Okay. Here's two soldiers that fought each other at the Battle of Saratoga. This one is the American soldier, and this is one of the German soldiers that fought for the British. And they're dancing then, if I can find the dancing board.
They do pretty well right there.
Yeah, okay. Then this was based on an ancient drill. The Indians used to drill holes and things, but I turned it into a little merry-go-round.
Oh, it's like a top. A wooden top.
No, a drill. Really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you wanted to burn a hole in something or start a fire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Clever. Mixing work and fun, huh?
That's what I do. That's for me. Now, here's a great one. There, running from the pulp mill down the Ross Creek, the revenuers are coming, and he was running the still. So he put the whiskey in the barrel, and down the Cateros Creek to the Saratoga Lake he went. And they never did catch him. And here's another whirly gig. That is Colonel Ellsworth, one of his soldiers, known as the Zavs, that fought in the Civil War. And Colonel Ellsworth was the first officer to be killed in the Civil War, and he laid in state in Washington, D.C. He was a great friend of Abraham Lincoln, our president. Now here's one that gets no longer and gets no shorter.
Oh, this one's neat.
Then we have half man, half dog that flips up and down by pulling the lever.
Boy, you get a kid in here, you wouldn't be able to get him out.
You got one in here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And here's one of my favorites and one of my first toys that run. You gotta give me a chance to wind them up. I hope I'm winding them up. Yeah, come on. The crane operator. He's trying to knock that chimney down, and he isn't doing a very good job. Come on. One more time. There we go.
This is like tetherball.
Oh, it's almost coffee break time. So he's going to shut down pretty quick. He's giving a little overtime. Oh, there he is. He's all done now.
What a great toy.
Well, it's funny what one rubber band can do with a little imagination.
The MacGyver of toys.
Men that work together, I hope.
Aww.
But for a while I was using 2 rubber bands to hold the clothespin in place the way we did when we were kids. But you know what? There's hardly anybody ever remember how to load the gun. So I made a new system. I glued the ammunition down. And there is a rubber band gun. And here's the target. I better knock one over. Quick load up. I should have had a half a dozen loaded.
Ooh, there you go. Very effective.
A lot of patience to put together. I almost threw it in the garbage.
Wow. That actually looks like a lot of fun.
Okay, that's today's done.
Beautiful.
And the next great toy that I had a lot of fun with, but it takes quite a while to load it, a top.
Ooh, that's great. That's like the battling tops.
Well, I have several that I use by hand too, but this takes a while to wind it back up, so it's in the box for the rest of it. This one, the little children really love at the fair. They have a great time with it. So I have to clamp it down on the bench because sometimes they get too over anxious, but
Ah, that is neat.
Very simple, but very keeps kids happy.
Yep.